So 7.5 days to go and Forest still have no more signings. Welcome to your transfer news. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to your latest Forest transfer news. Coming up, we'll give you some updates on Thiago, Casado and Dodo as well, but there's more to talk about really than just the signings. Where are the signings? Where's the Anderson money? Why is it not being spent? What is Marinakis doing, man? Because right now I'm starting to look at this transfer window and yeah, it isn't over and what have you, but that's besides the point. Forest is short of a striker, a central midfielder and a right wing back. And here's the thing now. We aren't replacing Anderson, according to all the latest reports. It's believed that we have internal solutions available. With the movement of McAtee back into the 8 position, it feels like Glasner or Forest or whoever within there is quite happy with that as the fallback plan to an Anderson replacement, which honestly I think is completely stupid. Because McAtee isn't an 8. Can Glasner really develop him into an 8? Maybe, but that comes with a risk. It just feels right now that Forest is just saving money. And I don't understand why. Look at the Leeds game. The starting 11 in that Leeds game was all from last season. A team that finished 16th in the Premier League. A team that needed reinforcements. And what did we do to reinforce that team that started this season? Nothing, you could technically say, because the 11 that started were all here last season. So I am getting frustrated. I've been patient this summer. I'm like, yeah, Marinakis will get it sorted out. New manager and everything, no problem. We are going to get reinforcements. And this is the point that's bugging me the most about it, is when a new manager comes into a club, they have their biggest kind of pull in terms of voice, in terms of power in the club. And you would have expected Glasner to have been like, right, I want player X, Y, and Z. Marinakis is like, right, I've promised you a war chest. We'll go and get this player and we'll chuck in some kind of cherry on top of it as well. And so far, Schlager's come in, who I do like, but free transfer. Diamande's come in, 34 million spent, very good transfer. And what else? That's about it. Backup keeper. And we've spent nearly as much on Olympiacos in transfer fees this summer as we have on Forest with our money. It's getting frustrating. So let's run through some updates here. Dodo is apparently closer than close. I'm getting sick of those phrases. At the moment, Forest have offered 10 million euros. Fiorentina want 12 million euros. So the gap is 2 million euros, which is about, what, 1.1 mil, something like that. It's nothing. Yet again, we're slowing down on it. Now, do I think Dodo is better than, say, Reed? No. Could Forest go and get Reed? Yes. Still, potentially, that's a deal that could be done. But Forest could have got Reed about 2 months ago for 25 million and decided to scrimp over a few million here and there. And now Dodo, whatever you think of him, wasn't the first choice right wing back. It clearly was that Glasner wanted Reed. So why can't we get the first choice that the manager wants? Now, I think Dodo is going to be very good going forward. I have question marks about him defensively. But if you said to me, Dodo or Reed, I'm taking Reed because Reed is a better profile fit for the Glasner formation. So, look, that one apparently is close. And we're at the stage now where closer than close isn't really cutting the mustard with 7 days left in this transfer window. They just got to get on and get the deals. Because once you get a player in, it doesn't mean he can get chucked into tomorrow's game against Leeds or this weekend's game against Liverpool. He's going to have to acclimatise, get used to the surroundings and all this stuff, which is why I wanted them in while we're in Portugal. Yes, I am frustrated. The other one that's doing the rounds as well is Casado, the CDM from Barca. However, this to me is now feeling like a nice to have, based on what we're hearing about how we don't want to replace Anderson, that we got internal solutions. This is a cheap deal from Barcelona, £25 million roughly gets it done. He's been excluded from the Barca squad. There is still links to him and Forest at the time of recording this video, so it could happen, but there are other clubs interested in him. Does he move the needle forward? For me, not really that much. I think he's a solid passer, good progressor of the ball, good CDM more so than anything that's going to advance us in the final third. And that's my issue, is that we need players who can help us attack, because we're rubbish in the attack. We really are. We were rubbish against Leeds the other day. So that's Casado as the second option. The third one is this Thiago thing. Now, we brought it to you the other day when Rudy broke it. There has been absolutely no one else kind of backing it up. What's the word I'm looking for? Tell me in the comments. Collaborating. That's the word I want. This story. There's been nothing from any tier 1s, tier 2s, tier 3s. I've heard nothing of it from some of the people that I know internally. Absolutely nothing. So I don't even know if it's true. I don't even know if Brentford would accept 70 million. I don't even know if Thiago would want to come to Forest anyway. So again, it just feels like another story that's doing the rounds. And for me, it would be surprising if Forest have spent hardly any money this summer and suddenly go and splash out 70 million on a Thiago, who I'm still not 100% sold on. The one that I feel is more likely in the striking department is Liam Delap, because that's roughly the price tag that Forest would look to pay for him, for a striker. I think a deal can get done for about £35 million. I think Forest would be happy with that, Chelsea would be happy with that, and maybe Liam Delap would be as well. But the question still is, Liam Delap comes as an unknown, a person who's had an atrocious season last year, a person who did well in his first season against Ipswich. And let's be real, the only reason many clubs, and it was like half the Premier League, were interested in him after the Ipswich season is because he had a relegation clause of 30 million. Forest looked at him, Chelsea looked at him, Man U were looking at him, Newcastle, basically any Premier League team were looking at him, and he ended up at Chelsea. But he is likely to leave this summer for Chelsea, and it could be done for a good deal. I think Chelsea have put themselves in a weakened position here. They've got rid of his number 9 shirt or whatever he had. They've stopped him training, I think I heard, with the main team. Therefore, they're putting themselves in a position of saying, we need to sell someone and give us a good deal for him. But does that move the needle forward that much? It could. It could, but could is the key word here. We're not in a position where could is okay at the moment. We're in a position where we need a will. This person will move the needle forward. This person will advance Forest. He could do it. He has the attributes to do it, and he has the attributes to work in a Glasner system, but it still comes with a risk and is unknown. And then that brings us on to a couple more names that are still being linked. Right back at Crystal Palace, so let's link to the Palace players. Him and striker called Mateta. There's still some very loose links with Mateta, nothing that I think is substantial enough. But basically, Mateta is trying to get out of his Palace contract. He wants to leave on a free to make his transfer easier. I still think he wants to go to Serie A, so I don't think Forest will go for him. I'm not even sure Glasner wants him that badly. Just because he's worked with him at Palace doesn't mean that he wants him at Forest. So I'm getting frustrated. Marinakis, if you're watching this, pull the checkbook out and start signing some players. We need some kind of marquee signing in the attack and in the midfield. I think this is the thing. If Glasner wants to do internal solutions on positions, then do them at wing back. Put Nets at left wing back and then pick one from Nico Williams and Einar for right wing back. There's your internal solution. Then go put the money in a central midfielder with some creativity who can get into the box, a bit of a box crasher, and get a goddamn striker that's gonna bag goals in. That's what we need right now. And until that happens, it could be a long, long season for us. Sorry for the rant, but I'm getting annoyed. Get your thoughts in. Make sure you've liked and subscribed. I'll leave Grumpy Old Reds on the screen if you didn't catch it yesterday. And we'll be back later on with a Leeds preview. Come on, you Reds.